Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, my Muslim brothers and sisters all around the globe. Welcome to another episode of Quran Plus with me, Jawad Ferdowsi. Well, as always, we're going to start the program with a verse from the Holy Quran, and let's go directly to the verse of today.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فإذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Well, actually, the verse is, when you recite the Quran, seek refuge in Allah from the stoned Satan. Based on a narration, the first thing the angel Gabriel said to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in terms of reading Quran was, "O Muhammad, first say, I seek refuge in Allah from the stoned Satan, and then say, in the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful." The Holy Quran commands us to seek refuge from the devil and Satan. The tempting creature, the infallible Imams, peace be upon them all, have also warned of several cases, which are in fact a warning for human beings in general, to quickly put themselves in a stronghold of God in times of danger, whenever we may be tempted by Satan in order to be safe from the Satan's devil. Well, the first part is actually Quranic concepts, and in this part, like always, we have selected a question. And actually, this question relates to the inner court that we do feel we have in ourselves. When we judge ourselves, when we ask some questions about the righteous thing, the righteous path, about the deeds that we do throughout the day. Let's go and see what exactly the question is.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hania and I'm from Canada, and my question is, what is self-consciousness according to the Quran?
Well, as I've already told you, it's a question that most of us have asked actually from ourselves. The question is, what is the meaning of self-consciousness according to the Holy Quran? You know, self-consciousness is actually that inner judgment that we feel inside our heart. So let's go to Mr. Khakdaman and ask him this exact question.
In the name of God, the Compassionate, the Merciful, hello, greetings, and welcome to the program. In response to the question that says, what is the meaning of self-consciousness in terms of Quran? Well, when we go to Quran, trying to understand the verses of Quran, and we add up the words of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam to Quran, trying to understand, we come up to a couple of notions which are pretty close to self-consciousness, probably talking about that. One of the meanings, or let's say one of the notions that are pretty close is the notion of muhasabah, as we have in Quran, and also we have in narrations of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and that talks about a kind of feeling of being aware of what am I doing, and are they good, are they not, a notion of being the judge of yourself about the actions that you have done throughout the day, especially at the end of the day when the day is going to finish and you are going to sleep. So tomorrow is going to start. At the end of the day is a pretty good day, as pretty good time, as Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam have talked about it, to try to bring into action this kind of awareness, because we are very much aware of the evil side or the good side of the actions that we do, because they are taught to us. Now, anything that we do, we are aware of what was it, what was the intention that I did that action by, and was that good or was that bad, and how am I going to account for it. So if self-consciousness is very close to this notion, as I think we have a lot of tracks of these kind of meanings, very close to self-consciousness, the ability, the feeling of knowing who you are, what you do, the side of your actions, and the accounting for. If we mean that, then we can find many traces and many tracks of these kind of notions in Quran and also in words of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Thank you very much.
I'm totally thankful to you, Mr. Khakdaman, for responding to this question, and God bless you. Well, actually, we've reached the second part of this episode, interpretation of Quran, and in this part, we're going to answer a very interesting question. Because all of us actually are always thinking about our superiority in this universe. You know, as human beings, we have knowledge, we have some tools and abilities that we know for sure that other creatures, they don't possess these abilities. So let's go to the question and see what exactly the question is.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amina Marhoon and I am from UK, London. I would like to know, considering verse 70 of Surah Al-Isra, is mankind superior to all other beings or superior to only some of them?
Well, the question is here, considering verse 70 of Surah Al-Isra, is mankind superior to all other beings or to only some of them? As I've already told you, it's a question that we do have because of all that superiority that we feel in ourselves as human beings. So without further ado, let's go directly to Mr. Shafi'i to get our answer.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The issue of superiority of the human beings to other creatures of Allah is a matter that can be discussed from different angles. But first we have to know that why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created man superior to others. There are some verses of the Holy Quran showing that for example, angels asked about human beings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that in the Holy Quran, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ ثُمَّ عَرَضَهَا عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught human beings the names, the special names, and asked the angels if you can recite those names, and they said, okay, you're right, and we are wrong. So, it means that they accepted the superior to the, and they obeyed to the order of Allah and accepted the superiority of the mankind. So mankind is superior to angels and to the animals and other creatures because of some points, just as, for example, his wisdom, that human has got wisdom and free will. Because he has a wisdom, he can understand good and bad, and he can choose what to do as a right path or wrong path. This is the thing that angels doesn't have. They are not able to go to the wrong path. Also, mankind has got the power to speak, which stands from his wisdom also. And also, the human soul is derived from the God soul. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. The human soul is derived from Allah Almighty's soul. So this superiority is mentioned in the Holy Quran. And we have two types of superiority. One of them is regarding how pious we are, and the other is comparing to the other creatures that Allah Almighty mentioned also. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Insan is created in the best manner. So regarding these issues, we believe that human beings are superior to other creatures, including angels, animals, and other beings in the universe.
Well, thank you, Mr. Shafi. Brilliant, just as always. And our dear viewers, we're going to take a short break, and after that, we'll be back with you very soon, so please stay tuned.
Welcome to another segment of Quranic Facts. Today's episode, Al-Sahifa Al-Sajjadiyya. The title Al-Sahifat Al-Sajjadiyya means simply the Book of Al-Sajjad. Al-Sajjad is one of the titles given to Zayn al-Abidin and signifies the one who constantly prostrates himself in prayer. The book is often called Al-Sahifat Al-Kamilat Al-Sajjadiyya, that is, the perfect or complete book of Al-Sajjad. According to its commentator, Sayyid Ali Khan Shirazi, the word Kamila refers to perfection of the style and content. Some sources state that the adjective was added to differentiate it from another incomplete version of the work, which is known among the Zaydis, but this seems less likely, given the manner in which the title is employed in the preface, verse 20. The Sahifa has been called by various honorifics, such as Sister of the Quran, Gospel of the Folk of the House, and Psalms of the Household of Muhammad.
Well, my respected brothers and sisters, first of all, I should thank you for following us and for being with us to the last part of this episode, Quranic Concepts. And actually, in this episode, I have a very interesting question here. You know, it's about rules. As human beings, we know from the very early stages of childhood, we've been confronted by a concept of rule. And we should abide by some rules in general. But without further ado, let's go and see what the question is. Let's see. Well, the question states, what is meant by inner rules in regards to recite the Holy Quran? When it comes to ruling and the role of rules in our lives, it becomes more interesting for all of us. So let's go directly to Mr. Khakdaman and get our answers from him.
In the name of God, the Compassionate, the Merciful, hello, greetings, and welcome. Thank you for asking the question. The question talks about the inner rules of recitation of Quran. What are the inner rules? Well, one of the rules which are embedded to the content of Quran, and when you are going to recite it, you need to obey that rule in order for your recitation to be logical, in order for that to be understandable, and in order for that to be true, is paying attention to the meaning of the verses. That's pretty important. Because when we are reciting the Quran, we just do not want to read something and we just do not want to declare a couple of statements. We want to convey meanings to the audience. So recitations should really have correlation with the meaning of the verses. So for a person who recites Quran, it is very important before reciting the verses to look at the verses, try to understand the verses. Some of the verses have different tones and different messages, so they tell us when, while reciting, we need to stop, when we need to have emphasis and a stress on some of the words and some of the notions. Sometimes we do not need emphasis, so we need to go forward a little bit. smoother. So this is one of the main inner rules of Quran when it comes to recitation of Quran. So it becomes very clear for us that reciting Quran really needs a good or at least a standard amount of knowledge about Quran, about the verses and about the subject that they are talking about. So that really helps our recitation to be authentic, understandable, while conveying the true meaning of the verse. Thank you very much.
Great, fantastic, a superb response. Thank you very much, Mr. Khak Daman. Okay, my respected brothers and sisters, we've reached the last question of this episode. And the question is regarding about some rules that we follow all the time, but there are times that we tend to think about it more carefully and to think, is it necessary if we do this, for example, recitation first and then after that we should do something else? You know, let's go and see what exactly the question is, and I'm gonna come back and explain a bit more about this specific question.
By which reason we must recite أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم before بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم?
Well, as I've also mentioned it already, the question is, by which reason we must recite أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم before Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Also, it is something that we are always doing when we want to recite some verses and chapters actually in the Holy Quran. But one of our respected viewers had actually this question, and let's go to Mr. Shuja'i to find the right answer to this question.
Why we should say A'udhu Billah in the beginning of reciting Quran or for anything we want to do? In Quran, in chapter A'raf, verse 200, Allah says, and if an evil suggestion comes to you from Satan, then seek refuge in Allah. Indeed, He is hearing and knowing. So even we have in another verse of Holy Quran, when you are reciting Quran, seek refuge in Allah from the stoned Satan. We know that Satan swore to Allah after he was really fired from the paradise and heaven, that he would misguide the human being and the sons and the daughters of the Prophet Adam, and he's doing it all the time. That is why we need to use this term when we do everything in reciting Holy Quran. It is told that we should say A'udhu Billah min sharri shaitan rajim before Bismillah. But for anything else, it is recommended that we should be really free from the Satan and what he's going to do against us. And even it is told that if it is we recite A'udhu Billah even after Bismillah, there would be no problem. But for Holy Quran and reciting Holy Quran, it's better to say, and it is recommended to say A'udhu Billah before Bismillah, and to take refuge from God from the stone Satan. Because as I mentioned, the Satan is all the time trying to misguide us from the right path.
Well, I for one really enjoyed the answer, and I hope that you did too. Thank you, Mr. Shuja'i, for your comprehensive answer. Well, once again, we've come to the end of another episode of Quran Plus. Thank you for watching us and thank you for following us. Please do not forget to send us your questions, via social media. So until the next episode, take care and bye-bye.